How's everybody doing?
Very good.
Ron, good morning.
Hey,
Good.
Chief.
Good morning.
John, how you doing?
John,
Doing
Joe?
good.
Good. Want to jump into this thing?
I think we're just waiting for Jill. She's
Okay.
the third member of the committee.
Yeah, right.
Kind of feel like a judge in that office, Ed?
You know what this job is about, John. You are a judge, no matter what office you're in. Just ruling on things all day long. I'm gonna miss it though.
Yeah, it's a nice office.
John McGonigal behind the scenes promised to make my office the nicest one downstairs. He was really committed to it.
I did. I said I'm gonna come in on a Sunday and take that desk for you downstairs.
You could get a few trees cut down, it would be nice. You'd still get a better harbor view from that office.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. I think that we've got everyone here now, so I think we can get started. Calling to order the Thursday, April 25th, 2024 remote meeting of the Police and Courthouse Building Change Order Subcommittee. The subcommittee is comprised of John McCarthy, Chief Ed Conley, and Jill Cahill, our CAO. Ryan Knowles, the chair of the Police and Courthouse Building Committee. So this meeting will be held remotely while the public may not physically join in person. The Zoom link access is provided via the website, and every effort will be made to conduct the meeting in a way so that access is as close as possible to in-person meetings. So all votes will be taken by roll call today. And with that, I think we can go ahead and start. I think we just one particular order of business today, which is to have presentation and approval of a owner's change order. And I think Scott is going to present them.
Yeah, these are potential change orders that are over CMS and Doran Whittier's authorization level, above 25,000. So I will just share what the packet was sent out.
I can share the, it looks like if you're
Yeah,
in
if
the
you wanna
car,
share.
Scott, I can share the packet here.
Oh, I'm
and I can
parked. I'm
just,
not, yeah, but
okay, yeah.
so I know like this one here is at the bottom of it, so we may be scrolling a little bit, but I think the committee probably had time to review, and may have some questions, but I'll just briefly go over them. So, PCO 97 was associated with, the T&M reconciliation work for the bollards at the switchgear. This was originally included in PCO 28. That was the N-Grid switchgear vault edition. That was, a much bigger scope, that included the bollards. At the time, there was a potential, what we thought, well, we heard a comment back from the N-Grid inspector that we may not need the full 16 that were shown on GGD's drawing. Which was good for us because the lump sum cost of the bollards was in the order of magnitude of like um like like two.
29.
What was it? How much?
It's like 29 grand.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it was like $2,000, almost $2,000 a piece, like, each one for labor and material. So we were hoping that we were only gonna need maybe 12. We didn't know at the time, and we obviously needed to release the order of the vault and get that get some of that work started. And, so we pulled this out and, I wanted to monitor these on T and M. At, during the backfill, um, they came, the inspector came out and said we needed 12 or yeah, 14, right, John?
Yeah, it was 12 the first time.
It was 12 the first time, and then he, so they said we could do 12, and then they had to come back. He came back and inspected it again and said, "Oh no, it's not going to work. You need 16 or whatever." So, we had to actually take those out and reset them. So the good thing about the whole thing is that it came in under what the lump sum cost was that we just couldn't negotiate to begin with. So the unfortunate part of it was that it could have been a little bit less money, and I had reached out to Ngrid. We are chasing the transformer right now, and I'm trying to put a little pressure on him. I wanted to let Mike Hale know that there was this kind of added cost that the owner is, it's their burden. I don't know how we could. I don't think we'd have any luck back charging National Grid for that, extra time that Cardillo had to, reset the bollards and stuff. But like I said, it did work out in our favor to monitor on T and the price is like 26,000 and change. And it's slightly over, or no, 20, what is it, 28, 20? I have it here. I should have put it up in the description, but if you scroll to the bottom, Ryan, to get that cost, or maybe I can pull it up
I got,
side here.
that's 6.
It's 26,837.
26,837. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
right there.
yep. So we're looking for the final authorization and approval for this PCO that we can put it into the next change order. Obviously, like the work is done. It's just we had expected it to come in. We were assuming that it would come in below 25,000, which is why we authorized, the work to be done on T and M. We were hoping it was going to come in closer to, maybe 20 or something, or less than 20, but because we needed the full 16, and they, that issue with Ngrid and the kind of miscommunication, it just cost a little bit extra for the kind of a little bit of rework, which is unfortunate.
Do we have any questions from the committee on this one, on this PCO 97?
Just to clarify, National Grid approved the initial 12, and we put them in the ground, and then they came back out and said we needed 16. Is that
Yeah.
basically it, Scott?
Yeah. They have within their literature, it shows, I think it shows 16, but then there's a note and it says that it's up to the inspector to decide how many bollards are needed. So just because budget is a concern, and we were looking to try to save some money, we were pushing for like the hopes that we wouldn't have to put the full 16 in at 2,000 a piece installed, a lump sum cost. They're about little less than $1,000 for the material cost. So, we thought we could pick up, I don't know, like whatever, $4,000 to $8,000 or something like that, maybe a little more. And
And
like I said, they came out and they said, "Yeah, I think 12 will work," and laid them out.
Yeah,
And they were put in,
because
and then
with the 12, the spacing, we couldn't get
yeah,
it enough so that a car wouldn't be able to drive through. So we had to go. When he came back, he's like, "Yeah, you got to go with the 16."
Well, I'd say that's unfortunate, but I don't see
Yeah.
National Grid making good on that, so.
yeah.
All right, any other questions from the committee? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve PCO number 97?
I'll make a motion that the subcommittee votes to approve PCO number 097.
Second,
All right, I think we had a motion by Chief Conley, a second by Jill Cahill. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Ed Conley,
Yes.
John McCarthy,
yes,
Jill Cahill.
Yes.
The motion carries 3 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, move on to the next one. Scott.
Okay.
I think this would be 82.
So at the front of the building, there is a section of walkway that doesn't meet ADA requirements. It's was slightly out of grade. And because of the new ramp and everything that we're doing underneath the front canopy that, you know, goes up to that walkway. It was determined, I guess, that it would need to be fixed. So we had an allowance. We knew we were gonna probably have to reset some pavers either in that area or along the front, where some of the windows work is being done just from some of the equipment driving over the sidewalk. And this pricing exercise came in over our limit, and it's also something that potentially the city may have, like, you know, been interested to take on because it's a little bit of kind of like site related work and paver work. I know the city does a lot of paving and some sidewalks and stuff like that, but it's also, you know, it's probably an inconvenience for them, so it would probably makes more sense to have the project do it, but so this work is definitely required, but I guess you could potentially call it elective in the sense that if the city wanted to self-perform and it's something that they could do. And there was a sketch drawn up by Doran Whittier for this work. It includes some granite curbing that raises that like a little ramp up, and then they remove the pavers and resetting them. And I think there's all new bedding that goes under it and stuff like that. So I think the pricing we saw looked pretty fair. I mean, it felt a little bit high on the site work side of it, but we tried to negotiate it down a little bit. We did ask WT Rich to get some additional pricing from another vendor, which they did, and the cost was almost the same. And the other person's scope was might have missed some of the site work, so we decided to stick with, we're recommending this one here. It's Cardillo doing the site work and the patio company doing the actual paver work. In total, this one's 29,763. I don't know if there's anything that, Chip, are you on still? I don't know if there's anything that you would want to add to this. I mean, you guys drew up the sketch and stuff like that and looked at, you know, the various options, and we thought that this was the best way to go.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty complicated area. It's somewhat of an interesting area where there seems to be multiple sidewalks, both one in concrete and one in brick. And the brick, like you said, we knew we had we anticipated some pavers needing to be, you know, replaced and maybe reset during the construction process. So we did have that allowance accounted for. Obviously, you're involving curbing here, and the curbing in this case is actually adding as a little bit of retaining for this, because there'll be a step between the concrete sidewalk and the brick walk / plaza area And we needed to do that so that, or else we would literally be chasing this grade forever, you know, because wouldn't be achievable to make it compliant. So, no, I think your description was fairly accurate, but that was a little extra there.
I just want to add this because we haven't had a chance to talk about it, and I think it's worth bringing this up now with this committee, just in case it comes up later. And I don't want to, you know, do you think that there's any reason that any kind of railing would have to go around this? That might have to be added at some point? Because I did hear a comment recently that someone thought that maybe it would, like, potentially one would be needed. If that's like gonna be a building code requirement or like a recommendation, we ought to just kind of alert the
Not
committee that there might be something potential for that.
Not that we're aware of. We did send the sketch to the building inspector as well to review. So it's no different than any other curb height, 6 to 7 inches, which is a step height. So I don't think it would qualify as for a curb condition. Sorry, but for a railing condition.
Yeah.
Any questions from the committee?
I talked to Mike Hale when I saw this on the agenda. He said he'd be interested in taking a look at this. I'm wondering if we put this off until Mike can look at this. This area has been a area of concern for years. The pavers freeze up very quickly, and I know he has to get his crews down there right away during a storm. And it's kind of a convoluted area with the ramp there and the steps coming down. And I'd feel more comfortable if Mike was brought in on this and had a chance to look at it.
All right. I know that there was some concerns about the timing on this with the other work that's going on in the area and the kind of completion of that work. John, how does that affect, what would be the timeline that we would need to engage Mike and try to see what, if anything, DPW can assist with on this?
Well, I think that's more of a me question. I mean, I can get Mike and his group down there sooner rather than later. I also, knowing I didn't realize that the fact that this area has been a concern in the past, we don't want to put it back, right? We don't want to put it back the way it was if it tends to freeze over and things like that. So I definitely want to hold on this and let Mike send someone down there. John, you spoke to him like today, recently?
This morning, yes.
All right, so if I text him, he'll know. So if I can get someone down there Friday or Monday, Scott, that's reasonable, I assume.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just wanted, John McGonigal had mentioned.
Oh, sorry, the other John.
Yeah, John McGonigal had mentioned to us that there was a potential, I mean, the phasing of it, getting them in sooner than later is more ideal. I'm sure we can work around. We'll figure out a way to make it work either way. You know what I mean? It's not like we still have time and stuff like that, but just where, I mean, John McGonigal, is there any, like, do you want to just add any commentary to that?
Sure.
To me that you're concerned about
Yeah,
that.
so we have our site contractor scheduled to be back next week to finish up some of the Sallyport binder and grading. And besides that, like, their scope of work is pretty much complete. So we wanted to lump this change order in because they're not hitting us for any mobilization costs on it. So if we wait and end up having to go with, this price in Cardillo, I can't promise that they're not going to try to bill now for a mobilization fee. Also, we are working in the plaza right now, getting that ceiling back in. So our goal was to work these at the same time. That way you're not opening the plaza when we're done and then having to wait for that work to be done and having to close it down again, or just taking, longer than we had anticipated. So our goal is timing to make sure that we're only opening that plaza once when it's kind of fully complete.
what do you think the cost is for a remobilization if like in general for them?
It's probably, I mean, it's probably around like 5 grand, something like that. You know, that's what I've seen, you know, previously from site contracts. I'd have to confirm what that is.
Well, it sounds like Mike Hale will be down. We can meet with him soon and decide, come up with a plan and potentially if he said no, we want to I don't know, there might be some changes that maybe they don't want to do pavers like they're saying.
Yes.
Maybe there's a different maybe they want to use concrete or something else if it's going to be a maintenance issue. So
Yeah, that was what I heard, Scott. That was
yeah,
one of
so
my-
we need to have that. Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to hear it again from you, John McGonigal, just to kind of understand. I know that there
Right,
was
yeah, and I just want to, you know, manage the expectations of, you know, the police and the court that if we're pushing this off a little bit, and I know Mike could probably be here next week, but that'd be a rough time on you know, if we're changing the scope and then they're taking it on, and it's not like a 1 week process, it sounds like. So I just want everyone to, you know that we're trying to coordinate all the work together to limit the impact that everyone's facing up here with the plaza. But if we're gonna push it off, then I can't promise that. Like, we're gonna keep working on the plaza. We're gonna open it up when we are ready. If you know we're gonna push this off, like we don't want to hold up on that work there.
yeah. But it would be a benefit, obviously, I think if DPW.
Yeah, if DPW, then
I
you'd
think there
save
would
you know,
be
save
some
29 grand.
savings, even if.
Well, especially if they have to maintain it, so that's,
Right.
in my opinion, that's the critical piece. I mean, at the end of the day.
Sure, yeah, yeah, you save the cost, and then yeah, you know, DPW would you know own it from there. You know, they'd be taking care of it and everything. So yeah, we're
Scott,
just looking more scheduled.
I'll text Mike, and if you could reach out to him, then follow up with him, Scott, and get a time that you guys can meet down on site.
Sure, yep, definitely.
And then just so I'm clear on the order of things, if Mike gets down there, say he gets down there tomorrow, says, no way, we're not gonna be able to do this. We need to approve this change. We need to get back together to move this change order in order for the other stuff to get moving. So Ryan, does it make, and I know that the public meeting, we have to post 2 days in advance. So it might make sense for us to just go ahead, Ryan, and post another meeting of this committee. So it's on the books and we don't get held up in that piece. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we can do that. I'm just trying to think if there's any mechanism that we can do this by today. To just streamline that process.
Or I
Did you
guess here's
vote
the other question. I guess no, never mind. Not all of these go before the full committee, right? Can we approve it here and just not approve it at the full committee or this one's just this is the level of magnitude only has to go here?
Chip raised his hand. I don't know if Chip has an idea here.
No, I was just wondering if we could vote contingent on Mike Hale's response. Because if
So can we, can we vote? Can we vote?
Contingent on Mike Hale's
Mike
response.
says,
yeah.
right, if Mike says no, like we can't do it, it's beyond our capabilities and it makes more sense to have them do it, then this automatically triggers. Can we
Yeah,
create
then
a
you go
motion
forward.
like that?
Yeah,
That
that'd
works
be
for
great.
me.
What about not to exceed with direction from Mike Hale or from DPW or something like that? Where maybe Mike says, you know what, why don't we get the site work prepped and stuff like that, put the granite curb in, we'll come in and we'll pave it or something. I don't
I'm
know.
comfortable with any of that. Let's just be
I
clear
was
on the
trying to
motion.
simplify it.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan, you
Yeah,
have a
so-
sense of emotion here? Okay.
Yeah, so maybe if we do a motion to approve PCO, what is this, PCO 82?
Yep.
PCO 82 in the amount listed, contingent on approval from Mike Hale. Does that make sense? Because then if Mike says, yeah, no, that's crazy, we can definitely do that. We don't need that. That will kind of trigger we don't need it. then it will. Versus if he says, yeah, no, that's you know, that will cost us more money, more time. There's no way we can handle that. Then we can just proceed and say, you know, Mike approved. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right. So do we have a motion to approve PCO 82 in the amount of $29,763 contingent on approval from Mike Hill?
So moved.
Second,
All right, we have a motion by Ed Conley, second by Jill Cahill. Any discussion?
Just the reason I brought this up is because you guys put it in the packet to us about the DPW. So maybe in the future, if something like that comes up and it's time concerning, that we maybe just loop Mike in ahead of time to avoid this in the future.
Yeah, okay, yep. I think I had sent it separately, but I'll double check. It's possible that I didn't, but usually I try to loop Mike in on those types of things. Either through whatever form of communication, text, call, email.
Like I say, Scott, it was in your packet that
Yeah,
maybe the DPW would want to do it. So that's why I reached out
Yeah.
to Mike.
yep, appreciate it.
All right, any other discussion on that, on this motion that's on the table? All right, seeing none, let's take a roll call vote. Ed Conley,
Yes.
John McCarthy,
Yes.
Jill Cahill.
yes,
The motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed, for PCO 82, and again, that is contingent on approval from Mike Hill. All right, I think we have one final one here, which is
46.
46.
So this is for the work, the new work in the under the front canopy, removal of the ceiling, reframing that ceiling, installing the sprinkler lines, installing new electrical lighting circuits and new lighting fixtures, and you know, the new ceiling that's going in there. It also is going to include new insulation and possibly some kind of vapor barrier that's required. We're just trying to figure out the best detail for that, whether that's in the insulation or it's separate. So originally we weren't sure, we couldn't really get up in there to see what the existing conditions were. So we took our best guess at a cost and or review of the costs. We thought we should do it on time and material. Even if we had done lump sum, the stuff that was in there, the existing the insulation replacement, we would have had to add that back in. So the reconciliation of the time and material slips thus far have gotten to about a little over $62,000. And we were at that, we had set a not to exceed previously, so I think John had put kind of an order of magnitude of potentially $20,000 to $30,000 more on top of what was expected. So we're gonna have to look at those costs and you know, closely obviously to the finish line, try to keep it as low as we can, but we need some mechanism to continue that work. So I think we would just look for an authorization to extend the not to exceed. I don't know what that limit should be. We have not seen, I believe we have not seen a cost for the installation, so, but John may have some idea of that, just in recent talks with NEFS. Do you feel like those numbers are still good, John? Since we sent this out?
The 20 to 30 to finish the work with the drywall insulation and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty good. I could try to get a better rough order of magnitude from them. But yeah, I think what I've seen so far, yeah, the framing was the hard part because, once you took everything down, then obviously the elevations out there are a little different. It's not totally flat, so they needed to run strings all the way across and set their layout and engineer the framing and get that all installed. Um, so yeah, it definitely took longer than I think any of us had anticipated. But that's kind of what happens when you do T&M sometimes.
The only thing I'll throw out there, and we haven't talked about it yet, John, but WTR allowance pull was based on a, an order of magnitude to begin with that we thought this was gonna come in at. Is there anything left in that would be reasonable that we could pull from to sort of help offset this cost a little bit? With I think we all had assumptions like that the demo and the framing and everything was gonna go back at whatever amount, and we're like 1% over that, so if WT Rich can contribute sort of that extra percent to help offset this. Sorry to put you on the spot. I know you have to talk to
Yeah,
John about it, but
I'd have to ask John because you could look at the other way, right? If it came in less, would we ask for a less allowance pull?
yeah, I guess he could. We could talk about that too if that happened, but
I'd have to run that by John. That this
Mhm.
was his
Yeah.
approval to give that much. Because we didn't feel like we owned anything out there. There was no new ceiling or new details to show anything going back in. There's no demo. It's not on the demo drawings. But
So
I can
just,
talk
No,
to John about
just-
it.
we had, not to relitigate everything holistically, but no, that we did own cutting and patching in that ceiling for the infrastructure that had to go in.
right, and the
In the
reason it
contract.
came from the WTR allowance pull for cutting and patching was because that was a CM allowance, and
Mhm.
the CM allowance is able to get pulled from before the CM contingency, so if it was like an owner allowance for cutting and patching, then this would have been a CM contingency draw.
Yep.
So it's
Sure. Yeah,
just,
I mean, let me
yeah,
run it by John.
okay. So I think for this, just for the interest of moving it forward, obviously, as a team here, we have to make sure that the costs are being pulled from the correct categories and stuff, but we need to kind of figure out what the maximum exposure is. And so we thought it was 62, and now it might be 92. So can we get we would recommend that PCO 46 be increase the not to exceed to, I guess, 92,000.
Well, I can do a separate PCO for that too.
You could do a separate PCO for just the insulation or whatever.
And
That would be most likely would be within our authorization.
Mhm.
Um,
And yeah, the frame, like putting the drywall back might fall within that as well. But goal here is to get, SOS and NEFS paid because this is work that they've completed.
mhm.
Do we have any questions from the committee? I guess I'm just trying to, so are we approving the PCO for 62,930, or are we asking for a larger not to exceed amount?
I think it's two parts here. We want to approve this PCO at 62,930. That way, it gets on the next change order, and then we can issue
Mhm.
subs payment for the work that has been completed, and then
Mhm.
the second part is there is still work left to do. Are we gonna proceed on T&M for the remaining work? Or do
Okay.
you want us to take a look at getting potentially like a hard price, Scott, for it, for the insulation and drywall and taping? Because the 62 includes, like, it includes first, next, so your painting's already covered, your electrical's already covered.
Mhm. Yep.
So it's just the drywall work, the taping, and then the added insulation and potentially like vapor barrier, if we need that.
Yeah, I think it does make I know we could do it a few different ways, but I think it does make more sense since the work is done to approve this one and then just to figure out the rest. If the committee would like us to get lump sum pricing on that scope, if John said that that's a possibility, then let's do that. I know we're with timing, we have talked internally just about probably pursuing any added change work on T&M because most of the time when we have someone on site full time, it's very easy to track T&M and it's gonna come in, it's gonna be what it is. Like the cost of material are easy to review and the cost of the labor is easy to review. So you get what you get a fair cost.
Right,
If it's
I agree.
if it's a pricing exercise, there's a chance it's gonna be
Right, and kind of knowing what they know now,
yeah.
Hard prices tend to be, a little bit more conservative
Mhm.
for T&M is, and I think NAFS did a really good job, tracking their hours correctly. Jim and, our field team out here did a good job making sure that no one was gouging anybody on the pricing, and the material was all checked. So I think 20 to 30, I think on my end is probably the 30 side is probably pretty conservative, I would say. And hopefully it does fall under the 25 that, Scott could approve if we decide to stick T&M. But yeah, I think Scott makes a good point that when you go with hard pricing, sometimes you get that more conservative price.
All right. Do we have any questions on this from the committee?
I'm more comfortable with the two-step thing like we talked about. Let's get these guys paid.
Mhm.
And it sounds to me like these guys have more to talk about before they bring it back to us if it needs to come back to us.
Okay.
Any other questions from the committee? All right, seeing none, we have a motion to approve PCO 646 R2 in the amount of $62,930.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Jill Cahill, second by Ed Conley. Any discussion? Seeing none, take a roll call vote. Ed Conley,
Yes.
John McCarthy,
Yes.
Jill Cahill.
Yes.
The motion carries 3 in favor, 0 opposed. So do we want to, so we're just going to leave then the second half of this as is for the time. We're not going to take a motion to do a not to exceed or anything. We're going to leave this as is on T&M, and then if necessary, they'll come back and seek approval if it exceeds that 25.
I think that's fine.
Yep, that sounds
me.
good.
Okay. All right. With that being said, I think that unless there's any other business that needs to be addressed during this meeting, I think we can have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jill Cahill, second by Ed Conley. Roll call vote. Ed Conley,
Yes.
John McCarthy,
Yes.
Jill Cahill.
Yes.
All right. With that, the meeting is adjourned, and thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
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 See you guys.